Hello, my name is Conrad, and this is a how-to course on how to play the Alekhine defense. Now, the Alekhine defense is a common or not so common opening played by many grandmasters, international masters, and FIDE masters alike. They all like this simple opening as a variation from the common e4, e5, e4, d5, Sicilian, or Caro-Kann. In this position, the Alekhines, Black will play f6, attacking the pawn here. Now white can go f3, d3, or c3, trying to transition this into a simple opening. However, in the Alekhines, white will push the pawn, and the knight will retreat to d5. Now, right here in this position, there are really three moves that you can play that are power to the Alekhines. The first move is moving the knight to g or to f3. Second is d4, strengthening this pawn and keeping a good hold on the center. And the third move is to attack the knight directly with pawn c4. Now, all of these moves are okay. Now, as you check the eval bar, they're pretty much the same. Give you the same tactical gameplay. It's just a matter of which one you're more comfortable with. Whether you're comfortable with a more direct attack or you would like to build up your forces before you start that attack. Eventually, these moves will all lead into each other, but it's good to look at the different variations or different order in which you play them at. So let's take a look at c4 first. c4 kicking the knight. The knight retreats to b6, and here you can play d4 or you can push the knight again. I would recommend d4. So let's look at the d4 variation. d4 is played. Now black, he doesn't like this center that white has. He tries to kick the pawn by playing d6. Now as white, you don't want to lose your control on the center. In fact, if you allow black to take here, let's play a random move. If you allow black to take here, yeah, so you kind of lose your queen and your ability to castle. We don't want that to happen. Also, even if you don't take, you can't exactly take back this pawn without losing your ability to castle, and this leads to very complicated bad things for white. Instead, we would like to reinforce this pawn so we can have the center. f4 is played. Now black can either play d takes e5 and then white takes back, or you can play the move bishop f5, securing a large area of white squares. This is very uncomfortable for white. I know I would be uncomfortable if someone played this move. However, really look at the eval bar. So if I play f5 and d takes, so they're actually the exact same. Looking at my screen here, I can see all the analysis, and 6.63 and 0.63 plus, they're both equal. You can play any move. Eventually, you'll probably play both of the moves. So takes, bishop f5, kind of leads into each other. Now here you play knight f3, strengthening your hold on these two pawns. Black moves his knight out, attacking again. Now you want to go e2, actually. You can go bishop e2 or bishop c3, or bishop e3, my bad. So I like to play this move as in case he ever wants to pin or something weird like that. He plays e6. So black actually can predict white's move here. White will actually not push his pawns here, and if he does, I'm pretty sure you're winning. Yeah, look at this. So if you're playing as black and you bait your opponent to push his pawns out, yeah, see, look at the eval bar does not like that. So, in fact, you can either retreat or you can go to e4. So he kind of forfeits his right to castle, even though he can castle. Yeah, look at this. So white's position here is pretty open. All these squares, every single open square is another opportunity for your opponent to get in on your position and just destroy you. I mean, this is horrible for white here. So don't open your side. This is why black plays the move e6. He wants to strengthen his bishop, and he knows that white will not push his pawns up. In this position, c3 is played by white. Again, you're countering the black bishop's hold on these squares right here. Bishop e7 is a common move, preparing for castling. Bishop e3 is played to again strengthen this side right here, in case black has any ideas of castle, maybe the queen up here and form a battery. You can either go queen d7, or you can castle here. Both moves are alright. I mean, you can even play f6, or where's the f6 right here. f6, kind of attacking these two of the square right here, and trying to get a double pawn. Maybe that's alright. I would go with a safe move. I'm a very cautious player, so I would just castle here. Bishop f2, actually, right here. We don't really like this check here, so if we can do anything to prevent it, we would, and that's why we're playing this move. And now you can go bishop g4. Again, actually, not such a good move. Bishop g4, my bad. And this position, white just castles. So we have same side castling. Pretty much all the pieces, except for one pawn, are on the board. So generally, a rule to follow is more pieces on the board lead to a more complicated middle game and a less complicated end game. So basically, this is going to be a pretty complicated middle game, but if you can navigate your way through it, it'll be all right. Now let's look at some of the other lines. So another line here, as I mentioned, right here, is d4, strengthening the hold here. Now, e6 actually is an okay move here. So the eval bar didn't really like that. However, I think it's totally fine to play this move. In fact, it's recommending it here on my side. So e6 is played. Now, white counters with knight f3, protecting his pawns in the center. d6 is played. So we have both of these pawns marching out into the attack. Now, he can either kick the knight, or he can play the move a3. a3 is kind of just a waiting move. I mean, sure, you're hindering the knight's ability to come to this b4 square and possibly back to the c6 square, but I would say that this is just a waiting move. So a3 can be played. We have c4, kicking out the knight. Bishop e2, another waiting move, but also preparing to castle kingside. These are all very good moves. So what I typically play, I like to play bishop e2, just because I like having the ability to kick out this knight whenever I want to. It's a good back pocket ace to have in case you're ever in trouble or something. Now, takes. And as you can see, the d file is looking pretty exposed here. Now we play black in this position, plays b6. b6. He wants to fiend shadow the bishop, protecting this knight. Some ideas of here, attacking this pawn here. I mean, you can even bring out the queen after you move this knight, of course. So right here in this position, just castle. Simple as good. Bishop b7, fiend shadowing the bishop. And now this is where I like to kick the knight. Kick the knight. I mean, he can go here. You can kick him. This is a very bad spot for the knight. You can retreat to c6, but I would not like to retreat to c6, as this kind of hinders the opening ability for the knight on b8 here. So knight e7. I like to kick back the knight. He can go to this square, but this is just a backwards move for white, or for black. Now, I can go queen a4 check, taking advantage of white's not so developed center right here. As he can't castle, he has to block. So knight c6, believe it or not, is actually a very common counter to this move. Queen goes back to c2, and we like her on this file because we do not want to trade queens yet, as we have the tactical advantage. Now, knight g6 is a good move. We're attacking this pawn. Ideas of knight d7, attacking this, ganging up on this pawn right here, and it's not looking too good for him. I mean, you can even go here after you get rid of the knight. So as you can see, this knight is actually doing a really good job controlling these key queen squares, preventing the queen, the black queen, from getting anywhere on these squares. Now knight c3, developing the knight. We're getting a control on the center too. Bishop e7, moving out. Black wants their king to castle so they can have a safer middle game. Bishop e3 is a good move here. Castles. Rook a d1, attacking the queen. Queen moves to c8. d4. Right here, we're attacking the bishop. He does not want to trade his bishop for a knight because his bishop here on the light squared is very important in this position. Now, knight f4. Oh, my bad. Pawn f4. And white is slowly advancing his pawns up from the king side. This may seem risky. However, if you wanted to go for a less risky play, I would recommend bishop d3 here and not march up these pawns. Keep these pawns here and go for a safe middle game. So this is this line, and you can navigate your way through this, of course, yourself after you get into this position. More likely or not, that won't happen, as usually book moves do not happen in game, so you'll have to kind of navigate that yourself there. And now the third line right here, knight g3. So we play knight g3, and actually the eval bar seems to go down. However, I would argue that it's a totally okay move. So knight f3, he plays c5. You can play all sorts of moves like this, or c6. Let's look at both of these. So e6 first. It's sort of what we've already gone over. It's just a different. It's just, how do you say? It's just like a matter of what order you play the moves in. You're probably going to play the moves sooner or later. So d4 is played here. Again, c6. Actually, he doesn't really like that. Let's go d6. d6 is okay. And this is literally exactly what we've just done. So if you get those first two that I talked about, the d4 and the c4 variations and the things that follow that, you don't really need to worry about this knight one. So I hope you enjoyed the how-to lesson on the Alekhine's defense. And now, if you want to stay for later, I will be playing a member of my school. His name is Jacoby, and he will be demonstrating these moves. He'll be helping me demonstrate these moves in a real live match. Thank you. Alright, so basically, this is going to be like a practice game of the Alekhine's defense. And I'm with Jacoby right here, and he's going to be helping us demonstrate what a real life game could turn out to in the Alekhines. Okay, let's go. Alright, e4, knight f6, pushes the pawn, knight d5. Alright, now he's chosen the c4 attacking option of the three moves. Retreat to b6, pushes, e6 while he's playing fast, okay. Kicks, we go to the safe square. Alright, bishop attacks. Here, we can reinforce. Knight attacks. Takes. So here, there's a couple things that we can do. First, this pawn chain is looking pretty strong. We don't like this pawn in the center either, so I'll push. We are actually going to take this knight. Now he takes back with the pawn, and now we take the bishop here with check. And now we win the second bishop. And now we're at material. advance, and I would just push. Do you want to resign?
Yes.
Alright, and that is how you play the Alekhine's defense.